will only be permitted up to or within 1.5 meters or 5 feet of the water table. How and by whom will that criterion be monitored and enforced, in other words? I understand why we put it in there. We don't want them to come near the water table with the excavation, but how will we ensure that that's done?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the extraction of the resource is regulated by the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. The applicant is, in addition to requesting planning permission for this, is also required to apply for a license to extract that resource. In terms of enforcement and monitoring, I'll refer that question to the applicant when they have a moment to speak.
I do appreciate, and you're quite correct, I think that they require M&R approval, and that is part of their approval process then. Correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for our planner? Not at this moment. Is the applicant, Mr. Livingston, or agent, Mr. DeMeyer, here this evening? You are? Peter. Thank you, Peter. We'll get to you in 1 second. I would like to invite anyone who would like to speak in favor of the application to come forward to the podium, and as always, we allow the applicant or agent to be heard first. So Peter, if you wish to come forward and say something to us, you have to just push that gray button, and welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. And I can first just address the question Councillor Oliver had with regards to staying above the water table. In the process of preparing the application to M&R, we had dig test holes in the area to determine where the water table was. And there's detailed plans set with a minimum floor elevation of the pit that we have to stay above. And it's not just the restoration grade, it's anything extracted below that. We have to have the pit of the floor a minimum of 1.5 meters above the water table. Otherwise, it changes the category of the permit to another class that involves a lot more work and geological or geotechnical work to get approval for that. It's an interesting use that Brad Bozark has been the one that's a proponent here. Jeff Livingston is the farm owner. Brad's business is selling sand. A lot of it goes to Oxford County or other area cattle farms. They're very particular on the type of sand, and there's a lot of aggregate in Oxford County, but a lot of it's too coarse and it doesn't meet the needs for the young cattle being raised. They'll end up with different kind of hoof disease and different things, and so a lot of the farmers all talk to each other and recommend that the sand coming from Norfolk County that Brad has found in a few different locations here is the best for the cattle. So that's interesting that way. There's multiple layers of sand, and you'd asked about the topsoil going back. Yes, absolutely. The market is not for topsoil. And there's the layer right underneath that is kind of a yellow type of sand or a B horizon. And that all stays on site and goes back in as well. And that's very important for the agriculture to maintain enough water in the soil that it doesn't dry up too much. So a minimum of 1 foot of this yellow sand goes back in, and normally it's been more than that on other sites. Brad has an existing site up on the McDowell Road that's nearing completion, and we don't want to leave a hole in the field when we're done, so it's just leveling it back out and making it more level land for agriculture.
Well, thank you for that, Peter, and certainly we have good sand here in Norfolk, no question. Is there anyone here that would like to ask this gentleman a question? There may be something come up. If you want to have a seat, thank you.
Sure.
Is there anyone else in attendance this afternoon who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone in attendance this afternoon who wishes to speak in general or in opposition to this application? Anything further from council? I would need a motion to close this public meeting. Wells and Height have moved to close the public meeting. All in favor? This meeting is closed. Remind council that we have received items of correspondence on your blotters regarding this matter. Page 83 has a recommendation of staff. What's your wish, gentlemen? Councillor Columbus?
Move the recommendation as printed.
Second, Brunton. Thank you, sir. Columbus has moved, Brunton has seconded that. The application of Livingston at 37 Elizabeth Crescent in Cortland on the affected lands, part of Lot 15, Concession 6, South Walsingham in Norfolk County. This is to amend our county official plan in the Norfolk County zoning bylaw 1Z 2014. File numbers are in front of you, gentlemen. That's recommended to be approved for reasons set out in our staff report 1858, and that public input has not been received for this application, therefore will not be considered as part of this decision. Discussion. For approval, those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you very much, Peter. Let's forward to page 135, please. This is staff report DC 18-65. An application has been received to rezone the subject lands from agriculture zone to hamlet residential zone, and it's to facilitate the severance of the existing dwelling. Mark Marine and Andrew Sloot and Agent Rick Dixon has put forth the application affecting the lands described as 2579 Cockshut Road. Stephen Collier is with us. Good evening, Stephen. You're here to present your report, and when you're ready, you may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council, and members of the public. An application has been received to rezone a 1-acre parcel of land within the hamlet of Bills Corners in Townsend from agricultural to hamlet residential zone. The subject lands are located on the west side of Cockshut Road at the south end of the Bills Corners Townsend hamlet. The lands currently contain a single detached dwelling and a detached garage, which are both proposed to be severed with future severance application. Surrounding land uses are primarily agricultural in nature, with other hamlet residential uses located to the north.
Bless you.
The subject lands match a proposed severed lot, which complies with the zone provisions for the hamlet residential zone, and the existing use is permitted in the hamlet residential zone as well. The underlying lands are designated as hamlet, and Norfolk County official plan policies encourage residential development within designated hamlet areas as opposed to in the agricultural area. Planning staff have reviewed this application against the provincial policy statement and have found that it is consistent, and this application also conforms to the Norfolk County official plan. As such, planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Well done. First, if there's any questions for our planners, Stephen? Councillor Oliver, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Stephen may not be aware of this, knowing that he hasn't been here in this county too long, but I'm sure my colleague in Ward 7 will agree with me. When we're talking about Bill's Corners, there is the real Bill's Corners that has the apostrophe, and the imposter Bill's Corners, which is the subject of this application, which is no apostrophe. So there is a typo in this report.
Duly noted. Thank you, Councilor Oliver.
All it takes is one apostrophe for a little shot. That's all it takes. Any other questions to planning? I am going to ask if the applicant, Mark Marine or Andrew Sloot or Mr. Dixon, I don't see any of them here, so I will proceed even if they're not here. I would like to invite anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this application to come forward at this time. I will ask if there's anyone in attendance this afternoon who wishes to speak in general or in opposition to this application. Councillor, is there anything further from staff? I will need a motion to close this public meeting. Black and Wells have moved and seconded that we do close the public meeting. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. The recommendation from staff is on page 135. I await Councillor Sonnenberg, your direction.
Thank you. I'm very familiar with this property. I'll move the recommendation and the report.
Moved by Sonnenberg, seconded by Brunton, that the application of Mark and Maureen and Andrew Sloot, R1 Waterford, this affects the lands of Part Lot 12, Concession 6, Townsend of Norfolk County, to amend the Norfolk County zoning bylaw 1 Z 2014. The file number is there. This is recommended for approval for reasons as set out in this report 18-65, and that the public input was received and therefore was considered as part of this recommendation discussion. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And Stephen, thank you very much for your work. I would like to go back to page 19. I'd like to do the communications 8 next and then go to our closed session, if that's in order. If you wish it any different than that, let me know. So let's go to communications. Our first one, it's been moved by Wells and seconded by Oliver that the request of Jesse Hurdle, Angelos of Dover, for an LCBO request for designation as a event of municipal significance, I guess, be approved, be denied. Mr. Clerk, you've left a blank.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is just to give council a bit of a reminder. This came forward previously. Staff previously recommended refusal for a special occasion permit. Council went with approval of a special occasion permit. The applicant then went to the AGCO and they said that was insufficient, that they needed the municipality to declare the property of where they were going to hold this event as a municipally significant event. So council, staff are again saying that we're recommending refusal, but it's obviously up to council what you decide to do.
Okay. Councillor Wells, as the mover, what's up?
Thank you very much for that information, Mr. Gazelle, but my motion, I think I moved it, did I?
Well, you have, you've moved it, but you haven't said what to do with the request, deny it or approve it.
I would say approve.
No, it's okay. Pending receipt, you want that added? Or not? Pending receipt of all other required approvals?
I would approve it just for the specific location.
Wells has moved, Oliver has seconded, sorry. Oh, sorry, okay. Sorry, my apologies. Wells has moved, Oliver seconded the request of Jesse Hurdle, Angelos Port Dover, that their request for designation as an event of municipal significance be approved. Any discussion on this? Those in favor? It's carried. On to page 21, moved by Wells. Seconded by Oliver, that the request of George Arugio, the general manager of the Norfolk County Fair and Horse Show, for an LCBO special occasions permit notice to municipality be approved pending receipt of all other required approvals. Discussion, Brunton and Black, please. Oh, no, well, you're okay? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Those in favor? That's carried. Page 25, moved by Geisen, seconded by Councillor Oliver, that the request of Brennan Brown, Lights and Sirens 3-pitch co-ed softball tournament be approved pending receipt of all other required approvals. Discussion. Favor? Opposed? Carried. And our last communication, moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Oliver. Page 29, that the request of Sandra Hennessy, Turkey Point Summerfest for an LCBO special occasions permit notice to the municipality be approved pending receipt of all other required approvals. Discussion. Those in favor? You guys are good. You got it now. That's good. Soon as I don't ask for discussion, you're all over me. Oh, gee, yeah, tell me about it. Okay, closed session time. It's been moved by Councillor Broughton, go ahead.
The bylaws, I guess we'll do them later, correct? I have a,
We normally do.
well, I had a question
Okay.
asked.
Okay, we have to do the reports of committees before the bylaws, but go ahead.
Well, I've had a lot of inquiries about the Dingle Creek, and I had some questions on it, so I can wait. I'll wait.
Yeah, okay, wait to the reading then, yeah. It's usually sort of almost the last thing we do in the evening. It's been moved by Wells and seconded by Councillor Height. I am going to read this. It's an in-camera motion, so I am going to read it quickly. That the council moved into closed session at 5:30 PM to discuss matters pursuant to Section 239(2)(c) and F of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25 as amended, as the subject matter pertains to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or a local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications for that purpose. That's all I need to read, then that's all I'm going to read. Discussion on this, those in favor of going in closed session? Opposed, that's carried, thank you. We are now going into closed. I don't think it'll be too long. I don't think it will be very long, but you just don't know. You don't know. Been moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Height, that council adjourn this closed session at 5:51 PM and reconvene in open session. All in favor? Thank you. It's carried. We dealt with two issues in closed session. One was an information update, and I do have a motion on the other item. It's been moved by Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Height, that report DCS 18-64 be received as information, and that council authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into a lease agreement with Mr. Brad Schott for the ground level office/retail space known as 56 Norfolk Street South in Simcoe for the period of October the 1st, 2018 to November the 30th, 2019 for a monthly lease to a maximum of $1,700 monthly inclusive of common area charges and basic utilities. And further, that all associated costs be funded through the Norfolk Urban Renewal Partnership Project with matching funding from the OMAFRA Revitalization Main Street Fund. Any discussion here? Not, those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Let's go to page 47. Well, I've dealt with that. My apologies. Page 59 is where I need to start. These are reports of our committees, our advisory committees, if I may. First on is the resolution moved by Wells, seconded by Columbus, that the minutes of the Port Dover Harbor Marina Advisory Committee meeting of May 9th, 2018 be received as information. Okay, questions, discussion on these minutes? I did have just a comment. Again, I'm not going to debate the motion, but Mr. Cridlin, I think they've got off to a pretty good start here. I think this was their second meeting, but I'm certainly, they're bringing forward things that need to be addressed or should be addressed and get answers on. Do you wish to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think those comments are correct. We've had a little bit of problem getting all members at the board. I think they're trying to work their schedules out. That's why we haven't got the election of the officers done. But no, the teamwork is there, and they're asking good questions. So I think we're off to a real good start here.
Excellent. Thank you for your work there with this new committee. Any other discussion? Those in favor of approving these minutes? Thank you. Receiving them as information, that is carried. Page 61. It has been moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Geisens, that the minutes of the Norfolk Environment Advisory Committee meeting of May the 14th, 2018 be approved and received as information. Discussion on these. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is on page 63 of our agenda, or page 3 of the minutes, and it's regarding the EIS terms of reference for the Rollum Inc., which is to be a cannabis production and processing facility on Highway 24. I guess my question is, do we know at this point, through our committee, I guess, and through staff, is this going to be one of the highly regulated medical marijuana facilities, or is it one of the unregulated personal use or designated person medical marijuana facilities at this point? Can anyone answer that question?
Okay, Pam's going to take a shot at it. Thanks.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Oliver, it is a Part 1 facility, so it is one of the highly regulated.
Okay, thank you. And I'm really glad to hear that, Mr. Mayor, obviously in the context of the odor control measures, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Columbus.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, with respect to that same item, Rollum Incorporated, is this old Highway 24, or is this the, what we call the new Highway 24 for location?
Again, through the mayor, this is Old Highway 24. It's kind of located at the corner intersection of Thompson Road.
Okay, so it's the road between Bloomsburg and Waterford then?
My correction, it is Highway New 24.
New
it is,
24?
Yes, it's at the intersection of Thompson and New 24.
Okay, thanks.
Where Thompson Road ends at the west end and abuts up onto 24. Okay, thank you for that. Anything else? I'm going to call the question. Those in favor of receiving his information? Carried. Page 65, it's been moved by Height, seconded by Geisens, that the minutes of the Norfolk County Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting of June the 18th, 2018 be received as information. Any discussion on these minutes? I hear none. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Page 69, it's been moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Height, that the minutes of the Economic Development Strategy Project Oversight Team meeting of June 20th, 2018 be received as information. Anything here that needs to be brought to our attention? Councillor Height, please.
Mayor Luke, they have a TLA that is very similar to one we already use. TLA being three-letter acronym, TAC. It's very similar to our Telecommunications Advisory Committee. Since this is the Project Oversight Team and technical, maybe we need to call it POT.
Okay. Anything else that wish to share? If not, receive as information. Those in favor? Carried. And the last report of committees is found on page 73, moved by Geisen, seconded by Columbus, that the minutes of the Delhi Tobacco Museum and Heritage Center Advisory Committee meeting and curator's report of June 18, 2018 be received as information. And I read through this. There's lots happening at that museum as well as the others around the county, that's for sure. Any discussion here? If not, those in favor? Thank you very much. That is carried. Now, I think up until the bylaws, we have covered everything. Yes, okay. All right, we're going to go to bylaws. Are you with me, Mr. Brunton, here with the bylaws? Okay, you're ready. All right, well, let's get them on the floor. Moved by Geisen, seconded by Wells, the bylaws 2015-55, bylaws 2018-68 to bylaw 2018-75, inclusive bylaw 10 OP 2018 and bylaw 44Z 2018 and bylaw 45Z 2018 be passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk and affixed with the corporate seal. Discussion. Councillor Brunton, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Luke. My question deals with the bylaw 2015-55. It's the Dingle Creek report.